Guys, thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Self Reflection Podcast. I hope that this conversation is going to find you guys in a good light. Today we are going to be talking about life insurance and finance. So I am hoping that this conversation is going to be helpful to someone out there. But before we get into our conversation today, I want to remind you to prioritize self reflection. Self reflection is one of those things that I've found to be really helpful. It has supported me through my emotional health, spiritual health, allow me to be able to prioritize my mental health as well. So I want to encourage all of us in this moment to prioritize some moment for self-reflection. Let's not waste any more time. Let's bring my good friend here, Shai. Hi, welcome on Self-Reflection Podcast.
Hey Lira, how you doing?
I am doing really well. Thank you so much for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. I am excited to have you here.
I'm excited
Um,
as well.
yeah, this is a conversation I feel like we have tried to have in a long time.
Mhm.
So, let's get into this conversation. But first, can you let our family and friends on Self Reflection Podcast know who you are?
All right. My name is Shai-dam Akwo, and I'm from Cameroon, and I am the first of seven kids of Mr. Akwo and Mrs. Esther Akwo. That's Joseph Akwo and Esther Akwo, and uh, a pretty very poor family. My dad was a penitentiary administrator. Started being a warder from rank and file to the administrative position. If you know Cameroon that well, or you know Africa that well, the penitentiary administration or the sector is one of the poorest government sector in terms of money, in terms of what you earn as money. You
Mhm.
know, and my mom was a committed housewife, and they had seven of us. So I always say they were taking care of nine people. So my mom and my dad were taking care of nine people, both of them and their seven kids, and we were basically living in a room. For those who know us, people who know us, they look at our story as kind of a miraculous story. You understand? Because from where we came from, it was impossible to dream. When you look at where we are right now, it was very impossible to even think that we were going to get there. You
Mhm.
know, and so I'm somebody who I can call myself a bit everything, all the odds. We went to when I had my advanced level, me and my brother, the person who was behind me, we were going to university. My dad was basically at this point where he was going to retire, his retirement, and he had his little lands. He had not even built a house. His little saving, but he was really sick. Before he went for retirement, he was like 5 years in and out, really sick. He had prostate. It wasn't cancerous, but he had prostate. At that time, you need to do a lot of tests and stuff like that. And so it really, really, really drained him all his little money that he had. He had to sell his lands and stuff like that. So when we went to university in Yaoundé, we basically stayed almost a year without having any communication with my dad, because at that time there was no phone, no cell phone. So if we wanted money, he would send money through those bus agency from Manfe, because he was in Manfe, and it was going to go through Kumba Kumba, Douala Douala, Yaoundé. Then we go pick up the money. And so if we wanted to speak to my dad, we leave Bonamusadi, walk on foot, and go to Kondengi, because that was the prison. Or that was the prison. And when we went there and we introduced ourselves, like, oh, my dad is an administrator in Manfi, they knew that it was like, oh, it's our colleagues. This our kid. Then they could easily pick up the phone, because the government phone, and call the office, and we could speak to our dad. But things got rough when he went to the hospital. He didn't want the family to tell us, because he was scared that if they tell us, we'll come back home. My dad was very, very keen on going to school. My dad was, you have to go to school, because when he was growing up, he played football. He was a very popular footballer, a goalkeeper at that time. And so he decided to play football and was with his friend who went to school. And today the friend is a professor. So he saw the success that his friend had, and he who played football had nothing. You understand? So he was, if I want my kids to be successful, they have to go to school. So we spent almost a year without having received any money from him. We were basically sleeping on the street and stuff like that, until one day my aunt basically said, "No, we can't continue like this," and announced the story. And so from that day, our life changed. We had to make serious decisions. My brother went to school in SWA. I went to SWA to go to school, and I had to start dancing between school and how to raise to take care of my other brothers and them and my parents themselves. So it was all a hustle. Long story short, I had to fight that. They were in a little house. He went on retirement. He could not go to the village because my mom, was not really on good terms with my aunties, my father's sisters, and my father's mom. Kind of shaky. That's an African story. That's what we do. Yeah. And so because she could not go there, she said, "No, I'm not gonna go to your village, because if I go to my village, if I go to your village, we'll go on retirement and we'll go to your village. I'll just basically die. I will not be able to do that." And my dad is somebody who is super, like, if my mom is not around, my dad is not comfortable. My mom does everything for my dad. You understand? He depends a lot on my mom, and so basically had to go to Kumba, stayed in one room in my mom's brother's house, no floor. That's where they were living. So I had to make sure that basically they were feeding me and my brother. I had to make sure that basically they were feeding, and I also had my dream. So basically, what we'll be having as conversation here, you're going to see what I'm telling you a story. It might be a little bit long, but you're going to see that everything got its cause from what I went through.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, everything got its cause from where I went through. And so that's how I started. Like, how do I get to make money? For me, I knew I could not make money in Cameroon. Basically, I could not get into a government position, because for you to make money in Cameroon, basically either you get a government position, or you're doing business. And you know how business in Cameroon is not given to anybody. Although I was doing little stuff, making money, that's what helped me to send my other brothers to school. That's what helped me to send little money to my parents, and feed myself. I was living my little room in Bonas. Those who know Bonas and those who know me, if you pass through Bonas, you know me, because I stayed there for a long time. You understand? And
Mhm.
so, by the way, Bonas is the student residential quarters in Yaoundé. And so it's a popular name. They call it Bonamusadi.
Mm.
Normally it's in Douala, but that specific area is called Bonamusadi. There you have Bonas, you have Obili, you have Chapelle Obili, you have a source. That's how it goes. But that particular place is called Guakele. The whole area is called Guakele, but we call that specific area Bonas. So that's how we started Ube. I slept on the street. I was sleeping outside, doing everything. The good thing about I always thank God is that I never got into drugs, never got into any drug, any form, any way. I never did anything illegal like stealing or something, because I had a lot of times I was tempted to do that. I had all kinds of friends. You understand? Survive, you basically looked at what could work and stuff like that. So, but I did what I had to do, struggled, and God bless. My brother went to struggled, and my brother went to Turkey. From Turkey, we went to Hungary, and Hungary went to Germany. And I struggled, and I came to United States. And when I came to United States, my goal was that I had to be wealthy. Wealthy. I wanted to get to a point where, because every day that I was living in Yaoundé, I was like, if something happens to me now, what happens to my family? Do you understand? Because I was basically like the father of the house. I was basically the one leading the house. So if anything happened to me, what happens to my family? So for me, America was the only place I knew I would go and basically make as much money as possible, to the
Mhm.
point where I don't need to work, or I don't need to have to face that on my back mind. You
Mhm.
understand? And
Yeah.
so I betted everything I had to come to America. My friends who know me will tell you, I refused to go to any other embassy. I said I will go to America. The day I'll go to America, the day I go to America, they'll give me a visa. And I went to America the first time. I went to the embassy and they gave me a visa. I never got interviewed. I told my story. I told the person, the consulate, my story, and he granted me a visa.
Yeah.
And so that's me. And when I came here, I decided to, like any other person, I came to Maryland. I first landed in Orlando. That was the place I was supposed to be, but I came to Maryland, struggled to get my papers, got my papers, started working. You know, you get to the healthcare sector, um, is home health aid, is the direct support professional. I worked that for 2 years. It wasn't my thing. And in the process of working, that's where I basically found uh, financial services. I
Mm.
decided to get into selling life insurance. And it's because of the person I met, who was today my mentor, Mr. Levan Bonnie, who basically took me on this win. When I came, I thought we were going for an interview with my friend. My friend had come from Belgium and we were living, we were just sitting in the house, we had no job. And the auntie told him, oh no, the sister told him, go and see my good friend. He's called Divine Bonnie. The wife is a very good friend. We grew up together. You guys were small when we were growing up. Go see him. He's gonna give you a job. You understand? And so he did not want to stay in the bus. He did not want to ride the bus alone. So he said, Shai, let's go. We sat on the bus. We went there. We sat in the office, and he came in, did his presentation, explained everything. I was amazed because I never worked in Cameroon for anybody. I was doing my stuff. So everything I was doing was what I told people, the middleman. People wanted land, I'll come talk about it, do the paperwork, and I got paid. So I was like, this is basically what I was doing in Cameroon. And I told him, hey, how can I do this business? How can I start the business? And he said, like, I need your social security, I need your work permit and stuff like that. I said, I don't have it. I didn't even know what was social security. I don't have it. He started laughing and I was like, yeah, you can't do this. You have to have your papers first. And I asked him, I said, sir, is it possible you let me come to your office, come and learn this thing? And I fight when I get my paper, I can, get my license and stuff like that. He said, yes. And I basically did it for 1 year. I was leaving my work in DC. I'll take the bus. By that time, I'll take the bus, sometimes ride 2-3 hours, take the bus, take the train, get to the office. After finish there, go back to work,
Mhm.
all night and stuff like that. And I did it for 1 year until I got my papers. I went and took my license. I sat with him. He said, hey, you know something? You're not stable. You need to go get a little job where you can have yourself something in your pocket, take care of your family and stuff like that. And that's how I did it. Got my little car. Then we started rolling and there was a lot. And I think as we move forward, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to really get to this point. That's just basically me. I don't know if there's something that is lacking. Yes, okay. When I did that, now I got into case working, so helping people with mental health.
Yeah.
Because I was working in one of the most like the hoods in DC, you
Mhm.
know, I got to see the challenges that people were going through. I got to understand. I saw something I never believed was in America. I saw people who were Americans who basically did not have IDs, who
Mm.
have their birth certificates, who did not have their social security. Like they've never, like they don't even know they don't have it, right? And I
Yeah.
was, how is it possible? And I came to realize that you could basically work as a case worker, go to the field, help those people, and you get paid, you know. And I went there, but I went there not because of the money. Yes, because of the money, I would say yes, the money was first, but I started falling in love because it was kind of fulfilling, because I was seeing myself helping people who really needed help. You understand? I saw a lot of stuff that I think as we're moving forward, I'll tell you, but it became something that I really felt comfortable doing. And at
Mhm.
the same time, it was something that gave me an opportunity to do my insurance business, because I basically run my time. I basically made my appointment myself. I could say, okay, I'm taking these days. I do everything for everybody, and I have these days to go do my business. So that's how I left from direct support professional, and I got into the mental health field. And from the mental health field, which I still do till today, you understand, I got into the financial space.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing your background story, right? Especially when you're coming from Cameroon. I didn't know that you come from a family of seven. Me too. I come from a big family of seven. So I understand like the struggle that could be in that place, which I am extremely grateful for my parents,
Right,
right? Just as much as, you talk about your dad and your mom, how they work together. That's how I feel about my parents, like them, I think me and my siblings were so fortunate to be able to be here, right? And to be here with our parents, where, that's something that many people can't do. So, I think my parents, I thank them every day for the opportunity that they gave us, right?
right.
um Again, thank you for sharing your background story. And I know you talk a little bit about being a caseworker, right, working in that social health field.
Mhm.
um when did you like realize like our community, I don't want to use the word illiterate, right, but how we didn't understand finance and how that impacts our community when you're working in that space? And also, if you could share some of the things that you saw in our African American community and in our African community that was also impacting the mental health of the people that when were not living the quote unquote American life as we all dream about and see from Africa to here.
So I think that's a very good question. I think it's you're breaking the question can be break down into two different
Yes.
questions. So first I want to say my takeaway when I look at the Black American community here, we have two different perspective in terms of how life is.
Mhm.
We have our realities. I mean, us from Africa, we have our realities, and
Yeah.
our realities is founded from the way the history of our country. So if you look at how our countries were all developed or how our countries became countries, you come to realize that all those countries were Cameroon, Nigerians, they were not Cameroon or Nigerians. Those countries were really mapped out by the Western powers. And so when they came there, they came with an idea. They were basically coming to an idea to exploit. And so they wanted to get the resources, they needed manpower to basically run their businesses, right? And so because they came with that mentality, we were basically trained in a specific way. Like for you to succeed in life, you need to go to school, get a job, work, and you retire. That's what most people know. So you need to have that in mind. All right. And so for us, when you come here, if you look at, let me say 99% of the Africans, what do we have in common? All of us, we want to work. We are workaholics
Yes.
because we've never had the opportunity. We most people went to school, sat down in their house, sat down in their neighborhood, looking for what to do. They were ready to do anything to work.
Yeah.
You understand? And you face that hardship where you didn't even have food, and now you come to a country where, oh my God, everything is like they're giving you, like all they need is you being somebody who is interested in working.
Hmm.
There's go work. You understand?
Yeah.
And so we have that mentality. We come, we have that passion, we want to work, we have that drive, we want to make things happen. Because then when you start working, you start making the money, you know that hey, in Africa, when you start making the money, you're rich.
Hmm.
And there is a problem. Most Africans get confused between getting rich, being rich, and wealthy.
Mm.
Different thing. You understand? And so, because we don't really know what wealth is all about, we confuse the fact that we're making money to be wealthy. And it can be seen in our habits. When you start making money, you also want to start you want people to start identifying you as successful. So you
Yeah.
want to start doing what successful people do, right? Dressing well, driving a good car, staying in a big house and stuff like that. And all that fakes the reality. It fakes the intent.
Mm.
I always tell people 99%, 99.9% of the people who come from Africa, they've come here because they want to be wealthy.
Mhm.
I repeat again, they come here because they want to be wealthy. I always do with my client. I say, if they were paying you, let's say half of what they're paying you right now in America, back home in Cameroon, would you one day think of coming to America? They always say no.
Mhm.
So the reason why you're coming here is because whatever you're making as money that you always feel is not enough. It's not getting you where you want to get to. So you're thinking, oh, if I come to America and I start making money, what happened? Automatically, I get that wealthy. And it can also be seen in this. The first time you get your paycheck, the first thing you think is, or if they pay you $2,000, the first thing is like, oh, I have 1 million CFA francs. You don't think about 2,000. You're thinking, oh my God, I just got paid 1 million CFA francs.
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant and you get billed, you say, oh, your check is $200 for the food. I took my mom and they brought us. I took my mom and dad and we went to eat with my auntie. We went to eat and they brought us a bill almost 400 something. And my mom like, how much is that in Cameroon? I said, about 400 something. Ah, my mom, please give me the money. We'll cook. We don't need to go out. That's the perception.
Mm-hmm.
So we have two realities. Their realities are different.
Yeah.
The American context is also very deep. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the Americans I meet today, they believe that their ancestors, their grandparents, their great grandparents, they fought hard for the country to be where it is today,
Mm-hmm.
and so they believe they are, they what is the word? How can I put it? They're entitled to,
Reparation.
yes, reparation. Not even the reparation. I'm not going into reparation. They're entitled to have the same opportunities as
Mm.
the different that as the Caucasian the Caucasians. You understand? And so they feel they are marginalized. They feel that they're not having those opportunities. And so when you meet them, a lot of them will tell you, "Oh, the system is not fair with us." And a lot of them will do that. But you have a lot of them also who are very serious, who are taking advantage of the system. You understand? And so
Mm-hmm.
the people I meet that you see going through all those trauma are just people who have, who have not come. I think our thing is lack of knowledge.
Mm.
No.
That's a good.
And when you, yes, there's lack of knowledge, and that lack of knowledge comes in the fact that a lot of them, when you see them working, the people who really work, the Black Americans who really work, they work long hours
Mm-hmm.
because they come from underprivileged communities, underprivileged families, and what happened there is you have this drug problem that has been there. People get into problems since when they're young at their young age, and because they have problems in their young age, they go to court, it gets into their record. It become now kind of they get into a snowball effect where, because of those things, it becomes very difficult for you to integrate yourself in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so because they can't find how to get integrated in the community, guess what? They get back into that situation. So they just in that loop, getting more and more problems and into problem until they get to a point where you see them, they're not able to work.
Yeah.
Okay. And also the ones that work, because they don't have enough education on finances, what are they doing? They've arrived. They also need to dress well. They need to drive a nice car. They need to live their life. They need to stay in a good house and stuff like that. And so because of that lack of education, it's become so deep that it started affecting a whole bunch of them. And because they can't meet or they can't maintain that, the way life is going or the way things are going are skyrocketing, they can't meet it. Guess what? There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of depression. You have those who were abused. There's so much in the Black American community that it has to really people really need to sit down and you know have a self-reflection, just like your show. Have a self-reflection on how to really get to build a system or bring education to that community that
Yeah.
basically will help them get out. Because for me, I think there's a lot of lack of education, and the education that is being provided to them doesn't really meet the reality on where they want to be.
Yeah.
So there's that disparity,
Yeah, I agree with you, because I'm also in the social work field, right? And working in this field, I get to see, I think you used the best word there, like lack of education, right? Because when we see there's so much trauma, right, that happened in that community,
A lot.
and because of that trauma that happens in that community, right, they don't face the trauma, right? We try to just move on. Let's say, for example, you grew up in a home that a parent was a drug addict, right?
Okay.
Using that drug, right? And that impacts the child, right? Because it impacts the child, and the child is trying to grow up in this community. They're just trying to survive, but there's so much attachment to that trauma that they didn't like work through.
Walk through.
So it now like it carry on in the generation like you were talking about. So thank you so much for breaking that down. I think it's a fight that we're in. You're still in this work, right? And it's something that, you know, like when as a African girl in this community, right? I don't often see myself as an African because I feel like we're all in the same fight in a way. Even though I want to say I still keep that perspective that I'm still an African, right? Coming in this community because the struggles that I face as an African girl is totally different from a girl that grows up here that considers themselves as African American.
True.
Yeah. The next question I want to ask you here is like, why do you think money is such a taboo, right, subject in our communities, especially in our African and Black households,
Mhm.
to have this conversation?
Before I even answer that, let me come back. You said something that was really very important. I think I need to also,
Please.
yeah. When you said you don't really see yourself as a black African, like you understand, you try not to do that distinction. You consider yourself as a person, like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? I do the same, but for educational purpose, sometimes it's good to make people understand because sometimes
Yes.
when we are out in the community, the Black Americans sometimes look at us and like, how do you guys do it? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys come here in such a short time? You find yourself being stable. We're here, and it's always good to share your story and make people understand. I always like every time I have a question from my client or from a Black American, I always tell them my story. So don't
Yeah.
think me sitting in front of you, things were that easy. It was easy for me. I slept on the streets of Yaoundé under the rain, under the sun. And I tell them, if you know where Cameroon is, or if you know a little bit about Cameroon, it's not funny.
Yeah.
Because when you go to a place like DC, there are all kinds of resources. You have shelters. I'm not saying they're good, all right? I'm the number one. I'm not going to tell you they're good, but at least you have shelters. You have all kinds of resources that I can tell you for like right now. I can sit down and tell you that I can spend almost a month or even 2 or 6 months. I don't spend a dime to buy food
Yeah.
because I know all the resources in DC where I can go and pick food.
Mhm.
You understand? And I say, you guys had that advantage, but we
Yeah.
didn't have that advantage. And so for me, I was looking about how I'm going to survive, how I'm going to make my family get out from this situation. I wasn't crying for what was happening to me because it was happening. You either cry or you do something to change the status quo. You understand? And so I always tell them my story and I tell them, hey, when I came here, God, you don't just even know the country that you people have or your parents have created for you.
Yeah.
It's an amazing country. You just don't see it because you're inside, so you don't really take advantage of it. So when we come here, what happened is we are like, oh my God, we're gonna die. All of us gonna die here. With you understand? And so that's just different because we come from a worse situation that you guys. I'm not saying your situation is not worse, but we come from somewhere where we think it's worse than what you guys are facing right here.
Mhm.
My perception. So I always try to bring that down. But I consider myself as part and parcel of them. You
Yeah.
understand? And
Yeah.
people are my friends, my clients and my friends. They wish my kids happy birthday. When my daughter was born, they made things and brought to my daughter. They sent it to my daughter and stuff like that. So it is something that is amazing. Now to come to your question again,
The taboo about finance or conversation.
about finance. So it still ties with our history, it still ties with how we grew up to see or how we grew up to know or to see what is called wealth. A lot of us confuse wealth from riches. You understand? For an African, you go to school, you get your job, And once you get your job, because you have a lot of people behind you who don't have money, guess what? You become the light of that family. You become the light of a community.
Mhm.
That's why if you go, you're going to hear elites. They are the elites. You understand? And if you look at Cameroon right now, the people who are running Cameroon are the elites. Like, it's not a conversation we need to have, but if you look at Cameroon right now, whatever is happening in Cameroon right now is simply because you have a bunch of elites who have decided that that's how Cameroon has to be
Yeah.
on the top. And the whole stuff is being masterminded by somebody who basically had the smartness to do that and say, okay, this elite is going to represent this community. That's why when you're crying over there, they don't come to you, they go to the elite. And when the elite comes and say, oh, you guys are fine, and tell the person on the top that no, my people are fine, my people say they love you. That's what they believe. You understand?
Yeah.
So you become the light, you become the light of family. So everybody turns to look upon to you. And so because they turn to look onto you, what happened? Are you gonna tell me if I'm making 100,000? If you tell me I'm making 100,000, what do you have money, right?
Yeah.
So, number one, nobody want to talk about their money. Nobody want to say what they're making. It's just because everybody, not only family, not only but friends, even people on the street will come knock on your door, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's created that atmosphere where people don't really sit down and try to address money or wealth or talk about wealth. Why? Because once you've gotten your job and you're making your money, you're already considered somebody who is fine and wealthy. You understand? And
Yeah.
now from that position, they're only looking at, okay, are you growing? Oh, okay, he's a teacher. He's become now the principal. Oh, the principal, he's making more money. Oh, he's become now the delegate of education in Southwest. Oh my God, he has money. But if you look at those things well, somebody might be a delegate, but he's making the same money as a teacher down there.
Mhm.
You understand? And so they're looking at you in terms of your position and saying, oh, he's making money. Maybe the government is giving you a car, or maybe they give you those privileges, you have a car and stuff like that. Because you have that car, everybody like, he's rich. He's a wealthy person. But that person is still going through the same thing that this normal teacher is going through. And so that's where you start having corruption, because those people also have to show up.
Yeah.
They have to do all those stuff. So just to come back to what we're saying, we don't have the culture. It's a cultural thing. We have to develop that culture to have that conversation. Let me say in your community today, or in your community back home today, when a child is born, you see the mom start teaching the child, if it's a girl child, certain things, right, that relates to marriage. They
Mhm.
want the child, they will start teaching the child how to cook, how to respect a man. That's the job of a mom. The dad does his own part. You understand? Why?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to mold that child to a point where they know at one point that my child is going to leave. And so we want to prepare that child to get to that point.
Mhm.
It's not the case with money. Your mom don't start telling you, oh, money is like this. The community that even talks about money, if you look at the community, is a community that does well, the Bamileke community. For them,
Mm.
it's something that they share. They start teaching you how to play in Jangi. They start teaching you how to go to the market, start selling stuff, saving your money. It's for them because it's a cultural thing. It's something that they've already developed. You
Yeah.
understand? And so you see, they are more prosperous when you look at people who are prosperous in Cameroon. They are more prosperous than the other tribe.
Yes.
It's a cultural thing that has to be broken. It's more about why is it a taboo? It's just simply because number one, we've not built it as a culture. Number two, the stigma that comes with it. You understand? Okay,
Mhm.
or you're a teacher, or you're a doctor in America. You have to behave like a doctor. All doctors in America have money. That's what is said, right?
Mhm.
But there's somebody who is a doctor making maybe $10,000. I'm just saying, I don't know what doctor makes money, right? Making maybe $10,000, and the person has 5 kids, the person has a mortgage, the person has his own family and stuff like that. But you are seeing that person here as, oh, he's wealthy, he's a doctor, he's making a lot of money. He
Yeah.
also has to represent. He has to represent. He has to make sure that he's getting those big cars, he's showing flashy when he comes somewhere. If he has to contribute, he has to contribute huge sums of money and stuff like that. And so those little stigma makes it a little bit difficult for people to really sit down and have a real conversation about what is money or what is wealth.
Yeah. Before we move on, from your knowledge, right, what is the difference between wealth and being rich?
Just put it in very, very basic terms. You being rich is making money. You being rich is making money. The day you stop making that money, you go broke.
Mhm.
Right? You being wealthy is you build enough wealth to the point where the day you decide not to work or something happens to you, you still stay the same. You're still making enough money. You're still eating. You take care of anything. You have peace of mind. That's wealth. That's why wealth is a journey. That's why wealth needs time. That's why when you're talking about wealth, you're talking about time. You understand? But being rich, you don't need time. You can basically boom. Let me say we can basically have this conversation today. Boom, it blows up. People like it. People flood your podcast, and maybe by next week you already have maybe 1 million view. The story's changed. Your account will also change.
Mhm.
You've made money, and you find yourself maybe boom, YouTube or maybe the other platforms that you use. Boom, 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 they pay you, and you have 1 million. You're rich. You're rich, right? But if something was to happen, let's say you don't now manage that money well, you don't basically take that million that you made and invest it well, or put it in a system that can basically keep working for you. Guess what? You're gonna spend all that money. If your show doesn't go on, guess what? You find yourself broke.
Mm.
So being rich is you just for me, it's just you just making money. Everybody is rich. It don't matter how much you're making. You can be making $2,000, you're rich. Somebody making $10,000, you're rich. You understand? That's just my whole sense. Because that money can permit you to do whatever you want to do. Now, it's what you do that makes you become wealthy.
Yeah. And some mindsets in that place, right? How do we start to shift our mindset, especially us in our African community? How do we start to shift our mindset to want to build more wealth instead of becoming rich?
So if let's try to let's try to do something, right? If right now you're not married, if right now in your mind you say, okay, I'm 35. I'm just giving an example. I'm 35 years. I think maybe, or you put in your mind by 36, I have to get married.
Mhm.
Before you even think by 36, I have to get married, you start doing things. Your mind start working, right? You have to start working in your mind. Okay, what kind of man do I need?
Mm.
What am I expecting from a man? All those things come as a question, and you start doing your research. And when a guy is coming beside you, or a guy comes and maybe comes to date you, all those questions you check them before you give the opportunity to that guy, because you're already in the mindset of I am I am dating now to get married.
Mm.
I'm not just dating to date. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Why am I using that as example? The number one thing for you to start shifting, you have to understand that wealth is a journey. We all of us, let's put all of us, this life is a journey.
Yeah.
In that journey, you have little journey. If you decide to buy a house, you start a journey. When you started the podcast, you remember when you started this podcast, it was kind of tough. Remember a conversation we had? We took almost 1 hour. We're talking. I was like, girl, you have to do it. I know it's a tough environment. You can do it and do it. And now here you go. You understand? It's moving. Even if it's not there, but it's moving. Then
Yes.
started a journey, right?
Hmm.
When you decide to get married, you start a journey. If you decide to have kids running, you start a journey. The same thing goes with wealth. It's a journey. And for you to start that journey, any journey you want, if you say you're coming to come and see Shai, maybe you're in California, I'm in Maryland. If you say, I want to go to California, you start planning, you start thinking, okay, which airlines am I going to take? What am I going to do? You start looking for, you go online and stuff like that. So what am I saying? The first thing you have to do is we need to change our mindset, because we already have a mindset that was developed since we're small, and the things that we think, we feel that this is what is going to get us wealthy. So everybody that comes to Cameroon, we already have what? We work hard,
Yeah.
right? We're dedicated, work hard. A lot of us are very smart, means that we're educated, all right? We have the will. We're ready to go get it. Now, those are the good things. Now, Cameroon is not a country that was built with the idea of being wealthy. It's a country that was built by another country to serve them,
Yeah.
as to help them to get wealthy.
Yes.
So that already builds your mindset. You already know, I'm going to be working to make money, right? But now when we come to America, we are coming to a country, or to the richest country in the history of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
This is the heart of capitalism. This is where wealthy people are being built. This is where you have a lot of people getting wealthy, that you can come anywhere and the field is plain for everybody. You can, if you're serious, you know exactly what you're doing, become wealthy.
Yeah.
So because we have already those habits that we've developed, now all we need to do is, hey, what do we need to do in America, since we're in that country where a lot of people get wealthy, and it's a country where wealth is being built, right? What do we need to do? So we need to start studying those things that they're doing, they have, that can basically take us from where we are to where they are. And it's a whole mindset thing. You need to shift it. And to do it is very easy. It's not like there's miracle. You need to go to a school of finance, or you need to go to a specific school. You need to start just getting books. I say this country is blessed. I still take it the same with my story. When I started the insurance business, I said I wanted to get into insurance. I had a lot that I needed to work on. Number one, I was very quiet. I could not speak the way I'm speaking with you. Yeah, I could not, because of my story. Like, the story I was telling you about me, I just cut little bits. If I tell you, if I go deep, I sit down here and tell you that things that happen in my life that basically I cannot speak. I'm somebody on the street. Je suis un enfant de rue. J'ai grandi en rue. I saw a lot of stuff. For you to survive, you can speak. You can talk. You understand? So I grew up to be quiet. And now I come to an atmosphere. I come to a domain where I have to make money. I have to make money. And one of the prerequisites I have to do is I have to learn how to talk. So I have to learn how to talk. I didn't know how to talk. When I was doing my presentation with my mentor, he would put me in front of people, and I was like, he would be behind. I was like, shout, shy. Like energy. You're not having energy. And so what happened was I started recording everything he was doing. I went on YouTube, Tony Robbins. I was a fan of Tony Robbins. Listening. I was listening on how to shift your mindset. I started listening on prospecting. I started listening on how to communicate with people. All right?
Yeah.
I used all those tools because I didn't have the money to go to any school or to pay anybody. They are free. Now, I started reading books. When I tell people say, oh no, I don't have the time. I'm not reading. Yes, I was working also 24 hours. But guess what? You have a lot of platforms today that you can go buy books, and those platforms read those books for you.
Yeah.
And I'm driving from Maryland to DC. Sometimes I take maybe 45 hours or for 1 hour, depending on the time and the traffic. What do you think I'm doing? I'm not listening to music. I put those books and it's reading. So I had one thing I was doing. Every paycheck I bought 2 books. Max $15. So every paycheck I spent $30 on getting 2 books. So just see, even 1 month I had 4 books. 1 year, how many books did I get to listen? If every month I did 4 books for 1 year, that's a lot. You understand? You don't even see it going, but after you come to sit down, I'm like, oh my God, I've listened to a lot of books. And so those books I was listening on what? On recruiting, how to communicate with people and stuff like that. It's the same thing I did with finance. And even if I take my phone right now, I open one of those platforms. I don't want to do publicity because this is your own platform. Right now, the books I'm listening is also on finance. I'm still doing it right now. You understand? So you need to start shifting your mind that way, because then you start understanding that, hey, this thing is a whole journey. This thing is a whole system. There are things, there are habits I have to develop to put myself in the right or the winning path to become wealthy.
Mhm.
Because it's a formula, it's strategy, is what you do, is habit, is perseverance, is consistency. You need to learn all this. You need to understand that you need to do all those things. Because if you don't understand it, guess what? If I tell you that, Lira, for you to be wealthy, you need to cut on your budget, maybe on watching, on buying food outside, or doing, or going out to your family, or not feeding, or feeding on, like, you basically have to do certain cuts that you're not going to understand. You're going to like, why am I doing all that? Because you don't understand that you need to do that to get to that point. You understand? So the first thing is that mind shift. You need to work on your mindset. Secondly, now that you work on your mindset, the books, you need to sit down. Basically, you need to sit down, you, if it's you and your wife or you yourself, you need to sit down and put down everything in numbers. Hey, how much do I make? I'm making $5,000 to this month. Okay, $5,000 a day. How much goes out? My house rents, my stuff. I always tell people this: no matter the amount of money you make in this country, there's a life you can live with that amount of money and live comfortably.
Mm.
It don't matter. There are a lot of people out there who are undocumented. If you go there, standing in front of Costco, they're standing in front of
Home Depot.
Home Depot. They're just standing waiting for people to take them. Those people have kids and family, and they're still renting a house. They're making, their kids are going to school. They are feeding their kids and stuff like that. Just doing that.
Yeah.
Why? Because they've accepted. They know, okay, I'm making 1,000 a month. In 1,000, I'm going to have a room. Maybe I'm going to take a room that I'm going to pay 300. That. You understand? Whatever you make as money, there's always a life. The problem is, will you accept to live that life? Are you going to accept to live that life? You understand?
Yeah.
So when you put down your budget, you need to put down everything in numbers. This is what goes out. This is what comes out. This is what goes out. Now, once you have all that, you have all that in number. You already know what is going out and what is coming out, what is left in your account. Then you need now to sit down and make your goal. What is your goal? Where are you going? What is the reason? Where do you want to go? When do you want to become wealthy? What is your goal? What, in terms of number, when you say wealth, what are you looking for? I'll give you an example. For me, I want to become the first millionaire in my family, right? $1 million. That will put me into hundreds of millions in Cameroon. And so, because it's going to put me 100 million in Cameroon, I want to be the first billionaire in my family. So I'll be targeting to make maybe $2 million or plus, right? For me to become a billionaire in my family in Cameroon,
Yeah.
then a billionaire in my family here. So I already have that number. Now I want to start planning for. Number 3, one of the biggest criteria to become wealthy is that you need to be making money.
Mm.
You need to be making money, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
people will say, "Oh, I have my job. I'm making 5,000." Yeah, that's a start. That's a base. You've started there. Now you need to start looking on the side. What can I be doing on the side? There are a lot of people doing it here. Some people cook on the weekends. Some people braid heads and stuff like that. So imagine that you're braiding head every month and you're making $1,000 extra from what you're doing. In 1 year is $12,000, meaning that $12,000 has nothing to do with all your bills and stuff, because your $5,000 already covers all everything and you still have some. So you're gonna do all that. If you're consistently keeping it, at the end of the year you have $12,000 that's kept in your account that you've not touched. Do you know what that can do if you start now thinking? Because when you get to the stage where you start investing on, you understand, it changes the game.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And number 3, that's still being the mindset. You have to understand that when we're talking about world, it's a long-term game. You have to understand it. There is no shame being poor if you're working your way out to be rich. So you're doing something to get out of poverty. I might be poor today, but because I'm doing something to get out of poverty, I don't need to be ashamed of the fact that I'm poor right now, because I know definitely tomorrow I'm going to be rich. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So nobody, like, those are just, for me, those are just the basic things you can do. Like, one, you have to start thinking, you have to change your mindset. A lot of us are stuck with that mindset back home. That's why you see a lot of people, you see somebody comes here, wins a GV, they come here, or comes maybe any way they want to come, they come here. 1 2 years, you hear somebody's telling you, I'm buying a land in Cameroon, I'm building a house in Cameroon. I'm not against that. You understand? I'm not against that. But there are certain norms that you have to do here to have that stability, to build a solid foundation before you can start thinking of building a house. Why are you building a house when you right now in the where you are financially you're not anywhere? That's why what I'm doing for me, I always tell people I sell life insurance. I sell life insurance because life insurance is the, if not the best product in the financial service, in the financial space. It is the best product that the financial space ever invented for me. And I can prove it with facts and arguments. You understand? And when I sit down with my clients, that's what I'm telling them. There are certain rules and regulations. They are like, if you want to go to school or you want to get, have a, you want to do a journey, or you want to do something, you have to first start with building a foundation. You have to first start by building a foundation. But because we're stuck in our habit, oh, me too, I'm in America, I have to send money to my kid has to go now to a school that is 500,000. You understand? Because I'm in America, I have to start building a house back home. My family who was living in 100,000 tomorrow, I have to send them 500,000 because I'm in America. I have to prove to them, the people out there. Oh, because the next question is like, their brother is in America, their father is in America. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But you're here because you came to find wealth. And if you're in a country where you came to find wealth, and this country has produced billions of wealthy people, why not do what they're doing? Because eventually, when you become wealthy, all those little stuff in Cameroon that you were thinking about will take care of themselves because you have the money financially to do whatever you want to do in Cameroon.
Yeah.
You get my point?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, just in them, like basically, that's just the way you can shift your mindset from, the mindset that we have to the mindset of starting to get wealthy. Now it's more technical, there's more structure, you need to sit down with somebody who really understand how it works, or how that can tell you exactly how to go. And I want to tell everybody listening to you, there is no specific way to become wealthy. There are different ways or different approach to become wealthy. I'm not one of those fans who come when a client comes to me, I say, oh, what you're doing is wrong. No, I want to ask questions and see if what you're doing match with your vision, or where you want to go. That's when I can tell you, I can recommend, oh, what you're doing strategically is not gonna, get your goal. You understand? But all the different ways, there are people who came here and will tell you they became wealthy by doing real estate.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you're going to tell the person who became wealthy who doing real estate that real estate is not the best way to become wealthy.
Yeah.
There's the person who is doing what I'm doing. There are a lot of my friends or a lot of people today who are multi-millionaire. There's no way you're going to tell that person that not selling insurance will not get you wealthy. You understand? However, you need to look at the person who is in front of you and see what the person is all about, where the person wants to go, what are the capacity. Is the person willing to spend that time? Is the person willing to learn? You understand? There are a lot of different things. So that's why when you're reading, you're doing all those research, you're going to find your niche. You're going to find the way you want to go about your stuff. Doesn't stop you from doing business back home, doesn't stop you from building a house, but you're going to be doing it. You can do it simultaneously. You can be investing in Cameroon at the same time building wealth, because at the end of the day, everything you're doing is because you want to be wealthy.
Yeah. Oh man, this conversation has gone so well. Like, I love it. Thank you so much, Shai, for sharing all of that. And I just want to answer your question about how many books you read. My mind went to the calculator after you what is it, 48 books a year?
48.
I was all like, wait, what number? So 4 times 12. But anyways, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I think the part that you talk about mindset, changing your mindset is something that many of us have to shift, right? That programming that we had from young, early on, including myself. I feel like that is a space where I also balance. And you talked about shame when it comes down to working a 9 to 5 and, or being poor, right? In that space. I think that's something that I also had to overcome, and had to recognize, like, I think a friend was of mine was telling me that a wealthy person was asked, how do you become wealthy, or how do you become rich? He said, by, making money, right? Which is the same thing you said right here. And that is a mindset of which I had to learn, like, because I think there's so much shame about people working a 9 to 5, right? It's like that's where foundation is. If you don't make money, you can't invest
Don't
in
invest in anything.
can't invest in anything, you can't build. So, I think, especially in today's society where we see so many, a few handful of people that are wealthy, right? A lot of young people think that, oh, I should be already there, I should be making this much money, I
Mhm,
should be rich, I should be driving this kind of car or having this type of home.
mhm.
Why, like you said, wealth or building anything is a journey. And I think a lot of people have that shame when it comes down to, like, having a day-to-day life or working a 9 to 5. So thank you so much for addressing that, because I think that is really important.
Let me just add something to what you're saying. You understand? Everybody has his journey.
Mm,
Everybody has a path. You understand? And your reality is not my reality.
mm,
If I told you how I came to this country, how I fought until I got my papers, all the everything that I went through to find myself in it, is different from your story.
yeah.
Okay. And so we're creating our path, but the focus in creating that path is I want to be wealthy. And so if you're doing things with that focus in mind and basically going bit by bit, taking your time doing what you have to do, eventually you become wealthy. You understand? And so most people look at the young, you come here and say, you see somebody is 35 years, they're already wealthy. Guess what? I tell all my friends, even my friends back home, I tell them, we came to this country very late. We came to this country very late because when we were, most of us got their advanced level, we finished our university at the age of 22. We spent about 10 years sitting in a house not doing anything. Guess what? There are people here that are not obliged to go to university. By age 17, they're already thinking of doing a business. They're already involved in one sort of a business or something, landscaping and doing something. And back home, and this is just to show you the mentality back home, you can see a taxi driver or a guy who has taxis, who is a taxi driver, who has 10 cars,
Mm-hmm.
10 taxi. If you sit down and do the math, he makes a lot of money, but he's going to be, if a teacher, I'm sorry, I always speaking on teacher. A teacher who's those people who work in the government sector, when they come, he's going to be stooping low. He'll be bowing, looking at that person as if that person is God.
Mm,
Understand?
mm,
Because and if you look at it critically, you're going to understand. You're going to see that that person can even pay that teacher, and he's still going to be still rich or
yeah.
rich on that picture, right? Because the mentality is that, hey, I need to be a doctor, I need to be there. But over here, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. They are wealthy. But over here, there are people who don't care about that, who say, I'm not going to go to school. I'm going to take this part. I'm going to do landscaping with my dad. Go to the Spanish community. A lot of them, you're going to see they follow their dad. They're doing painting. They're doing demolition, all kinds of job, and they learn from it. They get to own their own company and they start moving. By age 20 years, he's already making consistent money. He already understands the game. He has somebody, probably he doesn't even know, because he's making a lot of money. Guess what? He already has somebody who sit down here and say, okay, this is what you have to do. So by the time you're talking about we are getting here at age 35, 40, that guy is already he's already kept money, and his money is making him millions or thousands of dollars that you, even as a doctor, will never make working 24 hours. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And so you cannot compare.
Yeah.
All you just need to do is, okay, I'm getting into the game. Okay, I got late. What do I need to do? Because we got late, the good thing is that we have the energy to work. We have the will to work. So I don't mind go working 24 hours to make that money. And make that money now, I need to be disciplined. And discipline comes with a lot of what? You're going to cut family off. So
Mm.
it's a lot. If we want to talk about it, it can take us hours. But I
Yes.
always tell people, hey, with what I showed you, my platform, My company is all about education.
Yeah.
Oh, let's have an education.
Yeah. Before we come close to the end of our conversation here, when we talk about setting discipline, right? Maybe you can give us some tools, just maybe 2 or 3 tools on how to set discipline or have that boundary, because I think that is an important part when it comes down to finance as well.
Mhm.
You know, and growing for yourself in that space.
It will still boil down the same thing. When you're not prepared upstairs,
Mm.
if you can do, I'll put it in, I'll say you can do shit. All right. Let me put it that way. Sorry to use that term. All right. When you're not up here, fine. You cannot. That's the first thing. So you need to do a little mindset shift, which
Mm.
is a lot of education, a lot of, put yourself in that position where you're listening to people who have done it. The good thing about where we are in this country is that everybody who has succeeded puts it out there.
Mm.
And it's also is a form of getting wealthy. It's another form of getting wealthy. You talking about your story. Let me say you when you're maybe 60, you're super wealthy. Everybody knows, or everybody is talking about self reflection podcast.
Amen.
You can sit down and say, when I started, this is what happened, and this is what you can do. You put everything that you did, and it gives you generational wealth. Why? Because anytime somebody buys a book or listens to that book, guess what? You get paid some royalties, right? And whatever, anytime people do that, you always, whether you're there or you're not alive, guess what? Because it's residual income.
Hmm.
So everybody, all the information about you take from Carnegie to the Kennedy family, take to who to Charles Schwab's and stuff like that. They have their book, they have their stories all out there where you can go and see what they were doing to become wealthy, why they'll be wealthy for generation and generation and generation and generation. So when you read that, it start helping you build that. Okay, this is what these people are doing, right? Now your goal has to be also play a big part. What is my goal? If I have a goal to say I want to get married to Lira, Lira is in California, I want to get married to you. And she's told me I was smoking. She told me, don't smoke, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. What am I going to do? Because I want to get married to you. I want to have you, you know. I will start finding ways to get those things done.
Hmm.
Because I'm driven by that price. I'm driven by that price. There's no way I'm going to tell there's nothing I'm going to tell somebody that for you to be wealthy, you have to stop maybe going out and drinking. Every day you're going out, you're drinking. How do I tell you to stop that?
Hmm.
Even if I tell you, but guess what? If you have your 2 kids in the house, that your goal is that, hey, my kids, I want them to get in the best university. Me, I want to go back to Cameroon and live the best of their life. And for me to do that, because I've done my numbers, I know I need maybe 1 million. And if I work for 20 years, saving this amount of money, putting in maybe this kind of product or this program, I will basically get to that point. All I need to do is I just need to do the same thing consistently, consistently. Now it's not about me telling you that do it. It's about your goal. It's about what you're looking for. Now it's easy for me to tell you, hey, you see, for you to get to this point, bro, you need to do this.
Yeah.
That's why when we come young, we still, okay, let me put it this, when you're in Cameroon, I don't know when you came here, if you came when you were very young, but when
Mhm.
we're in Cameroon, when our friends came here, after 1 or 2 years, they still send us money. You ask money, they'll send you 100,000, and they send you. At one point, after like 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years, you even call them, they don't respond. Oh, that guy he's changed to an American. He started behaving an American. Why? Because now he's already now he understands that, hey, I need to do certain things to move to get to a specific. I have a journey to fulfill. I have a journey to go and finish. You
Yeah.
understand? and I need to do these things. And so I want to say it in a very layman way so that anybody can understand. There is no specific way. I don't want to start being, I'm not an academician who will come here and draw and stuff like that. Maybe I have done that, say, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you'll be fine. No. Basically, you need to know what you're looking for. When you know what you're looking for, you put down your numbers down, you know that this is what is going out. Let me give you an example. When I sat down, I pay cable, almost cable, internet and everything, $300. Let's say I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to save money. $300. If you put $300 in a whole year, that's $3,600. I'm spending on cable. So if I wanted to do a cut to make money or to have money, what do I need to do? I need to just go down to what? I'll just pay just internet because I need internet to work.
Mm-hmm.
Internet to maybe watch their YouTube stuff and stuff like that. It might be what, 70, 80, sometimes even $40. Let's say I go for the best, $90. Okay, I like soccer. Because I like soccer, I want to pay maybe a channel, maybe $12 or something. So I might spend $100 getting all that. But I would have saved $200, which is $2,400 every year. And that $2,400, if you're putting it somewhere, it's huge. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But now when I'm doing that, I'm not doing that because somebody told me that, oh, cut off your no, I'm doing it because I know that, hey, this $2,000, if I'm putting this $2,000 for the next 10 years, for the next that in it is going to heal me this. So your goal and objective have to be, if you don't have a goal that is so big that you yourself you're afraid of, then you don't have a goal. But I always tell everybody, make a massive goal. I want to have 500 million. I want to be a billionaire in America. Somebody's like, you're crazy. Yes, as a matter, if I don't become a billionaire, guess what? Worst case scenario, I become a millionaire. Am I not still fine?
Mm-hmm.
But if I say I want to become a millionaire, I want to have 1 million, guess what? I'll be working and working. If I don't become a millionaire, what I'll become what? I have just hundreds of thousands. So always, your goal has to be there. Once you have your goal, you sit down and put down all the numbers. Guess what? You can do those things without finding any difficult. It will not become like, oh, it's difficult. No. Give you an example. I have my friends, all they're very, they put on weight, big stomach, they're fine. They're like, man, you're putting on a lot of weight. That thing is not good. Let's go to the gym, man. I don't care about that gym. We go, they eat their chew, put their stuff. I mean, and they make a video. Oh my goodness, this is, you understand? Guess what? Maybe 2-3 months, bam! My friend is like, I'm sick. And I come home. What is the problem? Man, I have diabetes. My insulin is that. Now, you go to the hospital, they say, for you to really make this illness, if you really want to live long, you have kids, you need to be very disciplined what you eat. You need to start doing sports. You need to stop sugar. You need to stop salt. You need to do that. When I say let's go to sports, they are the one who like, let's make out the program. They are the one calling me, like, well, let's go to sport. Why? Because now there is something that is more bigger than me just telling them, hey, do that. And as it's an illness, it can be your goal. That illness become now kind of, that's what is driving them to basically be disciplined in the way they eat, in their lifestyle, in what they're doing and everything. Your goal also can get you disciplined in how you're doing stuff. There's no rocket science about it. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, if you can't do it, sit down with somebody who can do it, who can advise, who can have a conversation with you. Because a lot of people in America, there's a good thing. You can, if you don't have the means to find somebody who can coach you, who can talk to you, just like you. When you started, I believe you've talked to people who have other podcasts, successful people who have podcasts. Why? Because you either want to get their perspective, you either want them to guide you, you either want them to coach you. Why? Because they've done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not able to do those things or to talk to those people, what do? You get into, you grind, you go on YouTube, you learn. And bit by bit, because you're doing it, you get to a point where you start drawing attention. You start seeing those people contacting you. Oh, let's make a collabo. Let's have your podcast and this. Let me come talk to you, and you come talk to me. You know why? Because you have grind, you went, you did your stuff alone, you knew where you're going, and now they're seeing success and they're seeing that, hey, this person also can be help to, this person can bring some a plus to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's just about what you want to do. I think all of us came here to be wealthy, and if all of us came here to be wealthy, there's a lot
Yeah.
of this country.
I definitely agree. And also, if we want to just add mental health in that space, like when you are looking to, improve yourself mentally, right? Having a goal on like what do you want to see for yourself mentally, it also helps with you achieving your mental health goal as well. So thank you so much, Shai, for coming on Self Reflection Podcast and for, pouring all of this good energy, all of your knowledge, right? And for motivating us because I feel like, this was a big motivational conversation, not only for anyone that's listening, but for me as well, right? Because I think, growing yourself and thinking about wealth, it is something that a lot of us Africans have to break away from. And I also know that that is a big challenge for me, right? Finance was something that it took me a while. Like I broke away from so many other um other bad habits, but finance was one of those things that it had a big like hold on me to be able to break away from that like mentality, I guess you could say. So, just having this reminder, having this conversation again, and knowing that it's okay for you to be where you are as long as you're building, but also it is okay for you to think big, right? To want more for yourself, because so many times, like again, people are afraid to want more,
Yeah.
because there's that stigma about, oh, it's greedy,
Mhm.
right? So, and I also look at wealth as this, in the sense like the more money you make or the more wealthy you are, the more people you can help. At least if you're looking to help people, right?
Yeah.
So, that's the mentality that I had to at least cultivate for myself.
Mhm.
Again, thank you so much. Any final words about finance and how to structure your finance, and any other motivational words that you have for us today?
So I want this little word I'm just gonna give is basically in relation to what I do, life insurance. All right. And I want to tell everybody that, as I earlier said, life insurance is one of the best product that is out there that was designed by the financial space. I challenge anybody to show me anything of value that is out there, whether it's a company, whether it's anything that doesn't have an insurance.
Hmm.
I challenge anybody. Now, there are some, a lot of them are mandatory. If you're doing your house that you're sitting right now, I think if it's your house, you needed to have an insurance before they could give you everything. If you're listing, you need an insurance. If not, they're gonna say no. Hey, you need to leave. Right? Your driving is mandatory. A lot of those things are mandatory, but the only one that is not mandatory, I can put it, is life insurance. And come to think about it, everything we do, from your house to your car, whatever you're doing, your investment that you're putting out there, all depends on you. Meaning that you are the captain, you are the source, you are the drive. Without you, they don't exist. So most people want to build wealth and they jump, like you want to build wealth, you start from the top. Okay. Life insurance is where you is basically the foundation, because you have to start with the foundation. Let me tell you why. I'll be very short. When you look at the number one cause of death in America is what? Heart attack, cancer, stroke. Heart attack, cancer, stroke. Accident is like number six or number five. Those three illnesses, they are called critical illnesses. Critical illnesses. Now, if you're talking about wealth being a journey where you have a start and you have an end, I always ask people, how long do you want to take to become wealthy? They tell 20 years, 30 years. Realistically, based on our age, 20, 25, 30 years. My question to you is, Can you just, how many people just sit down and just die, just fall down and die? If they say the number one cause of death is cancer, stroke, and heart attack, when you go look deep into that statistic, you're going to see that almost 60% of people don't die from heart attack. So when they have the heart attack, they don't immediately die. And so what happened at that particular moment? If it was to hit any of us in that journey of become wealthy, what do you do? Now, I don't know if in America, what you have as money, or most of the jobs that we have as jobs, we have in their contract, when we assign our contract, there's a guarantee that says, if you get hit by some critical illness, I have to stay in the house for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we're going to keep on paying. I don't know if there's that kind of job in America. So because I don't know, my job is basically separating your income from what? From your knowledge, from your intellect, from what brings you that income. I want to separate everything, because you go to school, you acquire knowledge, and you start making money. So I want to separate your income from your knowledge, from what the skills that basically you use to make that money. Because if you don't do it, guess what is going to happen? You fall sick, it's going to become something else. Your wife, your husband has to take care of you, your kids, and guess what? Your wife is not going to work. You have lost your income. Your house will get affected. Mm. If you die instantly, guess what? You were supposed to work for 20 years to bring $2 million that was going to send your kids to school, pay your house, your mortgage for 30 years, do whatever you're going to do. All that money is gone. Your family depended on that money. And so you would have left your family with a 2 million lifestyle that you had set, and guess what? They cannot meet. And that's where you start having all the mental health issues. Families are stressed up because financially they can't meet up. The kids, the kind of lifestyle they were living, you were there every time, taking them to Chuck E. Cheese, doing this, doing that, taking them for vacation. They can't live that lifestyle. They're used to. And so I'm just telling everybody, insurance company is so wonderful that they've created wonderful product that you can basically have just little money and have 500,000, 600,000, 200,000, but get yourself something that will protect from critical, chronic, and terminal illness. Meaning that if any of those things were to happen, guess what? In your journey, you can basically live. You can basically use that as a replacement of your income. Everybody needs to do that. If you're getting yourself in America today and you say you the first day you have a job and you start making income, take $50 at least or even $100 and get yourself a life insurance. Because people do that with their car. They pay $200, $300, $400 and they're driving a car that if something happens to you, that car is useless. Yeah. They pay, I don't know, on their phone, on their house. Lira, let me ask you this. That's my final question and statement. Let me ask you this. If where you are sitting right now, let me say you're in your house and you had a room in your house where that room every day produces money. I know your house has an insurance cover, but the people who have the house told you that, hey, because that room produces money every day, you need a specific insurance to cover, because what if something was to happen to that room? We want to rush so that room can continue making money. Or we want to make sure that there's something in place that will continue providing you the money while we're repairing or fixing that room. Are you going to get that extra insurance on that room?
Yeah.
You're going to do it?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to do it, right? The truth is that your bedroom where you're sleeping has that machine, which is you. You go to work every day, you make money, and because you make money, there's a house you're living and you're paying. There's that cow that is outside. There's your family eats from it. There's everything you do. Without you in that room, you cannot make that room like basically nothing, none of those things exist. My question is, how many people have put an insurance in that room? Thank you, Lira. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. Wow. That was a really good way to put it. Wow. Yes. Because that's true, right? Without, if you're not in a good health, right, you can't do anything. You can't work. You can't do nothing. So that was a really good way to put it, having life insurance for not only your family but for yourself as well.
For
So
yourself. I know there are a lot of people out there now, like you go out there and say, oh no, you need to have permanent life insurance. No, yes, you can have permanent life insurance. But if you sit down with somebody and the person evaluates you, a lot of people don't do that. Because most of my clients now I have is, oh, I just had this insurance for my family and basically I don't even know how to work. Why? Because people did not take their time. Oh, the person did not take his time to really sit down and understand. That's why, hey, my site is there. Go there to my site, go book an appointment, 30 minutes, we'll sit down. I don't care if I'm not your insurance agent. I don't care. I'm going to help you. I've helped a lot of people call me call me and say, hey, I need the phone number of what people, this company. I'm an agent to that company. I say, okay, don't worry. What is the problem? Oh, this is it. I explain everything and I give the person the number. You know what? The person called me back and said, oh, you know something? Can I block in your number so that when I need another insurance, I can call you and you can help me? I say, yeah. I don't know when the person is going to call me, but trust me, just because I help the person is already thinking, oh, this person is sincere. 55% people in America own life insurance. The rest of the people do not own life insurance. It's simply because they don't have trust, or they don't know somebody, they don't know anything about life insurance, or they don't have the trust in the system.
yeah.
So there are a lot of people out there who need to have this great product, because all of the great products out there have something protecting them. Insurance is transferring of risk. Whether the bank you're using have what you call FDIC, Deposit Insurance Corporation. It covers your money up to $250,000, meaning that when you're saving, you put your money in a bank. If that bank was to go out of market or whatever, bankrupt and stuff like that, their insurance is going to pay you up to that money. If you had 250,000 in your account, they can pay you back. The bank that you people use and say, oh, this is where my money is safe, they use insurance to cover your money. So if they can do that, why are you not doing it for yourself? You're the ATM, you're the bank account, you're everything. You don't need to have an insurance where you're paying $500,000 or $500, $300. With $50, $100, you can still have something good. If you have the money to have the 500, 1,000, good. But you need to just sit down with somebody who can really educate you. You understand? That's my final word. Please, people need to know it is the best, because that's the foundation for you to build wealth. Without that, you're just basically building a house, or when the wind blows, which the wind is going to blow.
That's true.
Guess what? Everything that you started building is going to crumble. But guess what? If it never blows, because it can also never blow, guess what? You would have reached your destination with a chunk of money that would do that job.
I agree. So thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on Self Reflection Podcast. This has been an interesting conversation. Now I'm thinking I have to do a personal call with you.
Well, we'll sit down, we'll do it. It's not rocket science. Call. People don't really understand. It's like I just get so overwhelmed when I'm talking about it, because people really miss the conception of life insurance. There's a lot of sales that is going out there, a lot of sales tactics that are going out there. A lot of people want to win. A lot of people are doing great job, I'm going to tell you, and a lot of people are not doing great job. Unfortunately, the people who are not doing great jobs are more than the people who are doing great jobs. Come anytime. You can give my number to any person. Let's sit down. I don't care. I'm not, when I'm talking to my client, I'm not talking to sell. I'm not saying that I'm going to leave this meeting with me having a policy and the play for this person. I educate. I take time to educate you. Go have more information, so that even if you're going to somebody else to go get that life insurance, you know what you're getting. You know what is going to work for your family. That 51% of people, in that 51%, almost 80% are still underinsured. Why? Simply because they were not well educated. So the fact that you have 51% having insurance, have life insurance, still don't mean they are well protected. They have it from their car insurance, 50,000. Oh, do you have a life insurance? Oh, yes, I do have a life insurance. Where do you have a life insurance? Oh, I have it from my car. How much? I don't know. It's like 50. I just asked 2 questions to people. If I ask you these 2 questions and you give me an answer, I really know you have a life insurance. But if I ask you those 2 questions and you don't give me an answer, you don't have a life insurance. What you have is a death insurance. The life. They didn't say death insurance, life insurance. So it has to protect you in the period that you work in your alive.
Yeah. Before we go, while we're talking about life insurance here, can you tell us the different type of life insurance that are there if anyone is looking to get a life insurance policy right now? So, if you could tell us a little bit more about like the different type of life insurance that's there, we can break that down and give people an insight of what they could be looking for.
So you have, first of all, you need to first give the definition of life. What is life insurance? Is transfer
Mhm.
of risk. So you're basically saying, hey, a company, I'm transferring all my risks to you. In exchange, I'll be paying you this amount of money, right? And so you have what you call term. Term is temporal life insurance. They call it term. You always hear term life insurance.
Mhm.
A term means temporal. So you're simply telling the company or the institution you're working with, saying, hey, I want to have coverage for this specific amount of time. It can be 10 years, it can be 15 years, 20 years. Some go right up to 35 years, right? In that period, I want you to protect me. I'll be giving you this amount of money. Give you, you protect me. If something was to happen to me, God forbid, then my family should get this amount of money. Why? Because as I'm building wealth, I've put my family in a specific level. They have to eat, they have to go to school. I've bought a house. I have significant debt that I got from school. If something was to happen to me, guess what? All is gonna fall down on my family. You
Mhm.
understand? So I want to leave this chunk of money so that when it happens, they can have money to easily do all this stuff. So that yes, they will miss me as dad, but emotionally they will miss me. But financially, they can scale through that tough period. You understand? Then
Yeah.
you have what you call whole universal life. You have whole life. So first of all, life insurance is divided into two. You have permanent and you have term. Term is temporal. Then you have permanent, which is forever. So you're gonna have a life insurance that's forever. So when you have that term life insurance, the second you start getting into permanent, which is whole life. You have what you call whole life,
Mhm.
what you call universal life. You have what you call variable universal life. You have what you call index universal life. All of them, they are whole life. So all those four I just called, all of them are permanent life insurance. Now they can use them in different ways. Like when you do final expense are mostly for people who are aging, like those senior citizens who basically they have high risk because a life insurance company also is a business. It's a business, right? They're working with people. You're looking at the risk. They are taking all the risks. So when you get to a certain age, you're more riskier than the person who is younger. So at
Mhm.
that specific age, they will get you what you call final expense. It's just mostly money for you to take care of your expense when you die. All right. So mostly they use what you call whole life to design that. You understand? But that's how most of the insurance is. So you have term life insurance, you have um whole life, you have universal life, you have variable universal life, and index universal life. Variable universal life is mostly done by people who have security license because it's basically you having stocks in your life insurance. So it works like you having stocks, and stuff like that. So an ordinary agent will not just get it. An agent who can give you a variable universal life needs to have a security license for them to do that. So those are the different type of life insurance. Now, which is the best of the life insurance? There's no which is the best of life insurance. It depends on each person's goal. Why do you want to have a life insurance? That's why you need an agent to sit down and have a conversation with them. And a serious agent is going to recommend which is good for you. If I take a family, somebody who has 4 or 5 kids, they have 4 or 5 kids and making $5,000. They have to pay how the dad is working, the mom is not working. Everything is on the dad. That guy is basically surviving with his kids. You understand? I'm not gonna go tell the guy to start saving, start having a permanent life insurance. Why? Because those are things that are more expensive. They are insurance that have savings component attached to them, and you need to put a lot of money for you to really, really see the benefit of that kind of life insurance. You need to be able to really fund the life insurance well. The thing is that most people don't do that. They go sell those life insurance. People put those big monies, $500, and guess what? They get big commission. But the people don't fund the life insurance well, leaving the people now with an ordinary ordinary life insurance. But the question is, if you had sold, you had told the person, oh, you see, get a term life insurance, maybe $50, because that's what you can spare and still take care of your family without putting that person into too much stress. Guess what? That person will have a life insurance. Yes, the person might, if the commission might be small, right? But guess what? That person is going to be able to pay consistently that life insurance for a long time, and you're able to see that person go through. If something was to happen, that family will be safe because you did a good job, and you're going to have peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? People will want that high commission and put people into people's life into jeopardy. That's why you see when people come to realize it, they get very skeptical and stuff like that. So you need to sit down with somebody, and they sit down with that person and have a good conversation. If I'm having a conversation with somebody who is a business person, I'm talking about tax advantages. I want to show the person how permanent life insurance can be a product that can help them with taxes, because most wealthy people, their problem is taxes. You understand how to deal with those taxes, can they put their money that can give them value. That's the kind of conversation I'm having. You understand? If I'm talking to somebody who is middle class, who is making, that's the kind of conversation. Talking to somebody who wants to design their own retirement, I'm bringing that permanent life insurance to them. You understand? So all of the products are good, but you need to know what you want. You need to know where you're going, why you want life insurance, what you're making as money. Are you able to afford? Because life insurance is a long-term project. It's not something you just come and put money today and it's making money. No, it's not. All right. So in a nutshell, with the time we have, that's just a little bit that I can say. But if people need specific, there you have my website. They can go into my website. My website is just basically for education, right? Mm-hmm. If you want me to assist you, look at different companies, or look at even the people who have have a policy already. They have their illustration. There are a lot of people who don't understand shit about that.
Yeah,
they don't know what they have. They don't know what they found in their policy. You can bring it. Let me look at it. I'm going to advise you. I'm going to recommend. If you're not funding the policy, I'm going to tell you how to fund it. You understand? If not, if you need to add more policy, we can add more policy. But don't go and just add a policy because somebody told you add the policy and add the policy. First, see if you're capable, because the thing is, you're going to take another policy, maybe 1-2 years. You stop that policy, you'd have lost money, and it makes no sense.
Yeah. I definitely think I'm going to have to sit down with you with my own insurance and have a conversation on that as well. So thank you. And also, what is your website and how can we connect with you?
My website is is one of elite, so www.oneofelite.com. One of elite. So the reason one of elite, one of everybody is special. You're special. Anybody who sits in front of me is special. So I always put one of. That's what I always say. I'm one of. I'm special. You understand? And the elite is the person who sits in front of you is an elite life insurance agent. It's not about the money. It's never about the money. It's about what the clients get. You know why? Because when I work tomorrow, I might have a commission of maybe $3,000 today because I did you a sale. But just take a deep breath and think about one thing. If tomorrow that client, they came and told me, and I have stories for that, they said this client died, and I had to come and tell the family all the cry, everything. I came and sat with the wife and said, "Ma, I am your husband's agent, and I want to tell you that he left the policy because I know about the policy, and you have $2 million. All I just need is, I know things are really tough now. When you're cool, you've done everything. Please, let's sit down, provide me with all the papers. Let me work it out, and you can have your check of $2 million that you're not going to pay any taxes." Do you know what it's going to do to that family? That even with the cry, with all the emotion, do you know what you're going, like, you've announced something that woman will be like, oh my God, you understand?
Yeah.
You've changed that family life. And because even when that person gets the 2 million, guess who is going to call? Shai, what do I do with this 2 million? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You need to do things right. When you do things right, you still have a lot of recognition. And being wealthy, one of the things to be wealthy, I'll end with this, is what? That fact that you have done something in humanity. Mm. You understand? You've participated in humanity. If you go in your village and there's somebody who was wealthy, who was rich, who made money and was living with their son, with his family and stuff like that, never cared about the community. And you have another person who was rich and kid came and put water, this stuff, the person that the community will be talking about a lot, or the family, the village will be talking a lot, is that person who basically bless the community.
Yeah.
You understand? So in
Mhm.
my own way, when I'm doing something, that's what I'm looking at. I don't care about, hey, am I making money? I'm not making money. Guess what? I'm making money. Even if I sell $50 a day or $100 a day in 1 month, is $3,000 of commission that I put in. I'm still gonna make about 20 something thousand. So it's not about, it's about numbers. If I can do it and I do it when, and people can come every day, sit on my door, do you think I will say I'm able to sell $50 every day? I can sell it. I can sell two, because I'm educating them. But what I'm saying is, when I come, when I sit with that person and I realize that, oh, you are more than somebody who can pay $50 is not what you have to pay. You're able to put $25,000 and get a significant life insurance that can generate you money, and it can stay, can be maybe your retirement. I will bring that education down. I can show you how it's going to help you. If I have two people who have business and they want to do special, like a person, you have your special employee, or you want to do like the owner of you're both owners, you want to guarantee, you want to save your company, you want to protect your company, I can do insurance that will basically protect both of you, paid by your insurance company. So it's a conversation that is, it depends on each person.
Mhm.
And it's based on each person. That idea that when this person comes, you need to have IUL. There are people who come and you're talking to them, oh, I need to have IUL. I had to have IUL. All they have, what you can spare is how much? He said, I am is $100. You want to have IUL $100? Like, how does that make sense? And I'm telling you, with that $100, I run an illustration. $100 gives you 1.2 million. I've done it with somebody in front of me. 1.2 million. You have 1.2 million covered. A term with living benefit protects you from critical, chronic, and terminal illness. You can take all or part of that money if something was to happen to you, those critical illnesses. And you're telling me you want to have an IUL that I run without, it's only 100,000, and you have to fund it. When you fund it, it's 1,000 something, like make me make sense. No. Okay, let me think about it. I'm going, and then go. They say, oh, I want to have the IUL. Guess what? I'm going to do the IUL. But guess what? I told you.
Mm.
And sometimes there are a lot of people, when they tell me, oh, I want to tell them I'm busy, I'm not going to do it. I basically refuse, because you're basically being stubborn for nothing. It's like you want to buy a car right now, you're making 50,000, and you say you're going to buy a Porsche, or you're going to buy a Ferrari. Like, make it make sense to me.
Mm.
And I'm telling you, you have 50,000, you can get your little Honda, you can get a little Hyundai, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You will not have headache. You say no, you want that one. Guess what? When things get tougher, or somebody comes and say, oh, that boy duped me, or that boy did not, that boy only did it, and they start having problems, because people don't want to take responsibility. So everybody needs to have a review. Like, you can sit down, let's talk. I don't need to write a policy on you. I do it like every day. Most of, like, right now, if I share my screen to you, you're going to see appointment, like a lineup, because in that same website you can go directly and book your appointment. Just tell me what you like. Where did you hear about me? How do you have a life insurance? What are you interested in? You put it down, and you book yourself at 30 minutes. Come. There are a lot of people who do not come, they forget. So we're trying to put in systems where they will be reminded and stuff like that. It's a new company, it's a company and a website. I'm having a lot of people like on a bed, a lot also, and are coming. We're trying to work and make things better. So people, I have my number there. People can call me directly, book an appointment. We can do Zoom. I don't mind flying. You understand? If I see somebody who's serious, who really wants something, maybe they really want something, I pay my flight and I come. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
But there's
Well,
some people don't like the Zoom thing. They want to see you.
yes.
There's some people want to come to the office. They say, oh, I want to see your office. So it all depends on the client.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you so much again for sharing this knowledge, because I think it's something that we all need to hear about. So thank you. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us on Self Reflection Podcast. It has been amazing having this conversation with you, Shai. I know we're going to keep talking on the side. It's always great to have a conversation.
You did not tell them how we got to meet. you need to
Oh,
talk
you
before
want
we
me to
get
tell them how we, so
don't worry, next time that's fine. No, don't worry, all right.
I'm telling you, I was like, no, who is
No.
this? He was messaging me. I'm like, no, who is this? What do you want? What do you want? But thank you so much again for reaching out. You know, that I'm blessed. I'm grateful that you actually reached out to me because it has been a tremendous growth in my life as well. Also very helpful, you know, having someone like you kind of talk to me, especially in the first couple times that we had a conversation, right? That was such a powerful conversation that I had with you. So thank you. You know, I appreciate the friendship that we have. I appreciate the business relationship if we have one coming up. I appreciate, you know, just the words that you have. You're always very straightforward, very forward, and also always giving really good advice. So thank you so much. Whoever was your mentor, they did an amazing job.
I have
And
powerful mentors. I'm not lying. I can't lie to you. I have powerful mentors. They've done a lot uh, in my life, and I do appreciate you a lot. You know,
yeah,
we didn't talk about how we met, but it was something that basically for me, I always feel it was meant to be. You've also made, I never forced you. Remember, I never forced you. I always told you, hey, you can do it. And I'm really proud of what you're doing. You know, number one person who watch your podcast, I'm the one. I'm there. We're growing together. Because some people might see me talk or see us talk, think we're already there. We're not there, right? We are basically, it's a journey. We're moving together. Now, maybe 20 years, we'll be talking, we'll be reflecting on this and say, hey, you remember when we were saying people might think that we it just came and fell. No, we've been working, we're working our ass off every day, every time. We believe in what we're doing, you believe in what you're doing. And I told you, if anytime you need my help or you need my assistance or you need me to come, I'll contribute just the same way you're contributing. You putting this in your platform. I know I'm going to have a whole bunch of people calling me because they saw what we're talking about. I really appreciate what you're doing for me. I really appreciate what you're doing for the community, especially for our Cameroonian community. You know, mental health is real. People need to think about it. You know, and it's not a taboo. Just keep doing what you're doing, and guess what? The sky is the limit.
amen to that. Amen.
Yeah.
You know, thank you. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Self Reflection Podcast. I appreciate all of you guys that listen to this conversation. And I also know that I'm going to air this on Africa Today on our platform here. Cameroonian News Agency, which is going to find some of our Cameroonian brothers and sisters in Cameroon,
Mhm.
and also in some parts of Africa. So when you guys do come across this video, I hope that it is helpful to some of you as well. Again, thank you so much for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. I hope you have a good day. Take care of yourself, love yourself, be kind, and be gentle with yourself. Until next time, you're listening to Self Reflection Podcast. And this is girl Lira.
Thank you. Bye. 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 Bye.